Alright guys, what is all this mess? This is part of the pretty cool news that I have to share with you guys, and that's the fact that I had actually reached out to President. Actually, let me start back at the beginning. So I've been getting emails. You guys have been wanting to see a couple like review videos on newer radios, but unfortunately I don't really have new radios here to kind of do like a review. You know, a lot of the stuff I work on is already older, so kind of making review videos about, you know, a President Washington, you know, from, you know, 1980, you know, it kind of just doesn't make any sense. But I've been getting frequently some emails about, you know, different radios and stuff and what I thought about them. And so it kind of occurred to me that, well, why don't I reach out to, you know, a couple of my favorite manufacturers and see if they'll be willing to work with me. So I reached out to President. And sure enough, let me tell you, what a great company to deal with. Let me turn this down. I spoke to somebody there via email and then through the phone, and explained to them what I did and, you know, what my future plans were. And they actually really helped me out quite a bit, because up until still now, you know, a lot of the radios you guys want and, you know, purchase through me, I pay, you know, retail. I pay what you guys pay. I don't even make any money on the radios. I just do it kind of as like a service to my customers. But yeah, President actually hooked me up with some promotional items here. So you can see here, these are some flyers. And I'm going to tell you in a moment how to get a free hat. But they also sent me in a Harrison FCC for review. And but more importantly, they gave me some contacts on some distributors, and you know, gave me some phone numbers to call, because you know, the plan is to start a e-commerce business. You know, start selling some radios online. So with that being said, that is the plan. I am going to become a President dealer. I am going to start repairing President radios. I just got to get few things together, especially if Massachusetts will move their butts with getting the proper business licensing and stuff. You know, they seem to take their time around here. But yeah, so that's the plan. It's to become a President dealer. Mostly President. I've said it in the past, my past videos, that, you know, whenever somebody asks me what I would recommend for a new radio, I always say President. You know, a few years back, you'd probably tell me, you know, because I do come from a trucking field, I'd probably tell you, you know, get a Cobra or something. But you know, not in recent times. You know, President is definitely the way to go. But yeah, so they sent me these flyers, and I just figured I'd kind of briefly go over some of the stuff, some of the things that they had sent me here, and not, you know, we're not going to go through, you know, all these in complete detail, but I figured I'd just show you guys the flyers they sent me. You can get all this information online. But in a moment, I'm going to tell you why I have all these flyers out and how it's going to pertain to getting a President hat for nothing for you guys. So, but yeah, so these flyers are pretty cool. Some people actually collect them. I know I collect some of the more vintage stuff, whether it's flyers or sales brochures, or, you know, whatever it may be. I do collect them. So this could be, you know, say you have a George that you really like and you want to just kind of keep some documentation with it. You know, this is something that you can do. But we all know the George, the FCC. I know a lot of you guys buy the offshore ones, you know, from England and stuff, the George and the George 2. But this is the FCC version. Really nice radio, I think. I'm yet to see one. But from what I see on YouTube, everybody seems to love these President George radios, FCC or the you know, the 2, whatever version George you have. They're pretty good radios. So there's that. Let me see what else we have. This is a Digi-Mic here. What's cool about this is you have 5 levels of noise reduction. So that way, you know, some of these noise canceling mics, they can be pretty muffled. But this is pretty cool because it does have 5 levels of noise reduction. So that's an awesome thing. Let's see. On the Ronald, I mean, this is a pretty good radio as well. Lots of the ham guys like it. It's small, it's compact. Yeah, so what else here? You can go. I like the walkie-talkies too. So there's 2. President has 2. So the Jerry FCC, which is probably just a straight up walkie-talkie style. You know, it has good features, but the Randy 2 is probably a couple steps up from that. And you can see they kind of tell you, there's pictures here of what it's good for. Definitely for the overlanding community. It's definitely a good way to go. I know a lot of them go to the GMRS, but I still think that the walkie-talkies are still pretty, I mean, the CB band is still pretty popular with the overlanding crew. In fact, I know I have a group out in Western Mass, overlanders and off-road guys, that I used to, not anymore, but I used to sell a lot of not the 2s, the original builds, too, because they were, you know, small and compact, and you can put them in basically any place, you know, a lot of the Jeep communities. But this is obviously another option, especially if you don't want to, you know, make something permanent in your vehicle, and you can take this anywhere, you know, so that's a plus as well. You know, you're not bound to your vehicle. But one thing they don't have here, well, they kind of have the bicycles here, but I've stated before, my wife and I, we're avid bike riders. You know, we do Sturgis and, you know, Laconia and all that stuff. You know, out in, I ride a Dyna FXRP that I turned it into an FXRP. But yeah, I ride, so I know back in the day Harley used to put CB radios in the full dressers, but this is a really good option, especially if you're doing long, you know, rides cross country or whatever, and you know, you really don't have a spot for it on your motorcycle. Man, one of these 2 would be perfect for your motorcycle. So I think I'm going to end up getting one of these, probably this Randy 2, because it has the weather. Which is pretty handy, you know, when you're out in, you know, the middle of nowhere, you don't really know where you are or whatever, you know, you're kind of just on the highway, and, you know, especially on the bike, you know, a car, maybe it doesn't affect you as much, but yeah, if you don't have cell phone reception and whatnot, having the weather is, in my opinion, it's still pretty important. Especially if you're a bike rider, motorcycle rider. So they do have these 2 options for that. What else do we have here? Alright, we got the Washington here. This is probably the latest, greatest radio that, you know, everybody has been drooling over, and rightfully so. 10-12 meter radio, or is it? You guys know what I mean. Just a really good radio, and I think now people are starting to put the fans on them, which I think if I had a Washington, I'd probably want to put the fans on there as well. From what I've seen online, I don't think these things will ever reach like a critical temperature. you know, where you'd have to start worrying about, you know, final transistors and whatnot. But anyway, there's provisions for a couple of fans back there, so and as far as I know, I think you can actually set the temperature or something like that. Again, I don't have one, but just an awesome radio. So yeah, this is it's packed full of features, and all the specs are in the back here, which is pretty cool. I know you can look them up online if you really wanted to, but it's, you know, what I like about President is they do give you some important specs here on their radios. So yeah, you can kind of compare, you know, sensitivity for compared to other radios. So that's pretty cool. But what else we have? The TED FCC. This is probably, I'd say, going to compete against the, I'd probably say like the Cobra 19s, if you want to compare it to something else. Yeah, something like that. Small. This is FM too, which is pretty cool. What else do we have here? Johnny 2, 10, 12 volt, 12, 24 volt. So yeah, it's another just good small form factor radio. The Richard. And what I like about these is I like how they are, you know, small. So you can actually, if you go online, you know, you can fit these into some of these President radios. You can fit into like the consoles, like the Havas consoles and stuff, and you know, fit them into your dash, and so that's pretty cool. Walker 2, FCC, Thomas. So what's cool is too, in case you guys don't know what this 2 + 3 year warranty is, so the radios come with the 2-year warranty. Obviously you got to register them, but if you buy a President antenna at the same time, they'll increase that another 3 years for a total of 5 years. So that is pretty damn cool, if you ask me. Yeah, what else we have here? The Adams, FCC. Their newest thing is this Bluetooth mic, and you attach it right on your steering wheel, which is pretty cool. But what's awesome is you can kind of set this 2 different ways. So on the PTT, the default setting would be you press PTT once to start the transmission, and then you can kind of just let the button go and it'll continue to transmit until you press it again. Or you can set it, you know, kind of like it is on a regular mic. You know, you hold down the TX button to transmit, and then once you let go, it stops. So this is pretty cool option. So this works with all the 6-pin President mics. So that's pretty cool, actually. Yeah, you don't have to really worry about, you know, some states will kind of, you know, give you a hard time over having a mic in your hand, believe it or not. Still, you know, I see people with cell phones all the time, but, you know, whatever. But that's a good option to have. So like I was stating before, the bill, this is the bill too, FCC AM FM. I was selling a lot of the regular bills, the first version of them, of the bill to, like I said, an off-road community in out west, Massachusetts, and these things were super popular. In fact, of all the President radios that I've sold, the bill is my #1 selling radio, simply because of the off-road community. You know, they don't really need anything special. They don't need sidebands. As a matter of fact, they don't really need FM, but it is nice to have that option now. You know, especially for the off-road community where you're so close. You know, it must you have a nice clear conversation with your buddies, you know, in line with you. You know. But I saved this one for last because this is the radio I've been recommending more and more for the trucking community. And the reason is, this is what you get from the McKinley is the best bang for your buck, I think, of any CB radio out there, new or old. For the price of a McKinley and what you get, it's so worth it. And its size is another awesome thing. It's small enough to fit in a lot of the cubby holes on these, tractor. What I mean by tractor trailers, the heavy duty trucks. So yeah, I've been, as you guys know, I come from the trucking field. And I've been telling people to purchase, or you can have me purchase it for you. I do work for 2 fleets. In fact, actually 3 if you consider the place I work for. Outside of doing this, and I'm slowly making these. Making the transition over to these McKinleys from the Cobra 29s. And what's cool is it's the front firing speaker. So, because I don't know if you guys know, I'm sure all the truckers will know, but a lot of these like cubby holes or slots you put these CBs in, half the time there's, there'll be like cutouts on the bottom for the speaker, especially for the downward firing speakers. But sometimes there's not, so you're forced to run an external speaker, or the truck will sometimes have an external speaker, up on the roof somewhere, up on like a console or whatever. But if you don't have one of those, this is perfect because the speaker is, front firing, and you don't have to worry about putting an external speaker if you don't have one, and it fits in pretty much any spot that a Cobra 29 fits in, and way better quality than the Cobra 29. So yeah, our trucks at work, they've been coming from the factory. We have 2 new Western Stars, and they've been coming through with Cobra 29 night watches, and we've been just taking them right out and putting in these McKinleys, and let me tell you, the truck drivers really like them. So yeah, that's kind of why all these things are out here. So now, to get to the hat, this thing here. So President sent me a couple of hats. One's mine. But this one I decided to do a giveaway. And if this giveaway goes according to plan, there'll be more giveaways. So how do you get this hat for nothing? So I'm going to limit this to 30 entries. And the way it works is if you give me anything to work on, whatever you send in, radio, bass, microphone, whatever, what I'm going to do is I'm going to include some of these flyers in there with you, and a number for a drawing. So maximum of 2, you're going to get a maximum of 2 per. So if you send me 1 radio, you get 1 entry. If you send me 2 radios, you get 2 entries. If you send me 10 radios, you still only get 2 entries. So it's 2 per person max. All right. But if you send me in work, regardless of what it is, I don't care what it is, anything CB related, microphone, whatever it is, I'm going to include some of these flyers in the box back with you, and then once the 30 entries are up, I'm going to use a Google random number generator, and if your number is up, you get this hat. It's that easy. You don't have to pay for anything extra. You just get a service done by me, and you automatically get included into this raffle for this hat. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. And like I said, if this goes well, and you know, if this channel continues to go the way it's going, there'll be more things to give away. So now, if you already have a radio here for repair, you're automatically included in it. Now, if you know, I'll ask, you know, my customers if they want to be included in this. If you don't want to be included in this for any reason, I don't know why you wouldn't want to be, but just let me know, and I will not put the flyers in the box and ship it back to you. But anybody who has a radio here right now, that includes you as well. So I'll be reaching out, seeing if you guys want to be a part of this. Like I said, there's only 30 spots because I don't want to turn this into a 2-3 month long process. So I'm going to limit it to 30 spots. So it can be, honestly, it could be as little as 15 people, obviously. So yeah, and you get a free President hat. You know, it's pretty cool. You can't get these anywhere. So this is a promotional item that I figured I'd pass on to my customers. So there's that. Yeah. So if you guys want to be a part of it, send me in some work. I don't care if it's a Turner mic. If you're sending me something, you get included in the in this raffle. And that's about it. That's all I got for now. Next video, I'll be doing a review on a Harrison FCC, so stay tuned for that. And that's about it, guys. So nice, easy peasy way to win a President hat. You know, especially if you're going to be sending in your radio in or whatever. You know, it's really not that big of a deal, right? I mean, you're going to be sending work in anyway. So if you're sending in work, you automatically get thrown into this raffle. All right. The only thing is, you get some of these flyers sent back with you so you guys can look at them. Or if you guys actually want a specific flyer, like you want like the George or the Adams or whatever to go along with your radio, like I said, I know a lot of people collect these flyers and whatnot, paperwork to go with their radios. Let me know, and you know, I can mail you out one as well. You know, it's up to you guys. All right. Thanks for watching.